Week 2 of the Seattle Seahawks OTA practices are officially wrapped up, and with that being said, we have more news, notes, highlights, observations from this week's practice. Now, usually I like to go day by day in terms of breaking down what's going on, but for some of you guys who maybe missed day 1 or missed day 2 or even day 3, I wanted to make sure you guys are still up to date. So we're going to do a weekly review, and we're going to do this for the rest of the offseason, so make sure you guys join the family right off the bat. Before we jump into today's video though, I want to give a big shout out to all of the Seahawks media team, man. They do such a good job, putting out these highlights and making sure we have, some footage to look at while we talk about what's going on in practice. This is not my footage, but go follow all of them on Twitter. You can see their names on the top left of your screen. Corbin K. Smith, Bob Condata, Greg Bell, man. They do such a good job covering practice and getting these highlights for us, man. So a big shout out to them. Go follow right now before we jump into the video, and do yourself a favor because they will keep you guys updated with live video footage. Now, with that being said, let's kind of dive into the video. Also, comment down below a player that surprised you so far. I know you haven't seen much, but in terms of what you heard, or someone that you think just looks better throughout the videos and whatnot, who's someone that surprised you so far? For me, I'm not really surprised that this is happening, but someone who's looking like the alpha in this wide receiver room, Jackson Smith-Njigba, has been absolutely lighting up camp so far. And again, I know there's no pads, I know there's no contact, but this man, in terms of footwork, speed, agility, quickness, elusiveness, this dude looks really good and a lot better than he was last season, which is crazy. Love to see these second-year jumps, and for JSN, it looks like he's going to have a big season in store this year with the new head coach Mike Macdonald, Ryan Grubb here as well. So let's get into a couple of guys who have been looking very good, and trust me, the first guy we're going to talk about is actually Jackson Smith-Njigba. Guys, you're not going to believe, and you probably already know, but last OTA practice for them a couple of days ago, the man was insane. The man caught 5 touchdowns in one practice, 11 on 11, 7 on 7s, was unreal, unstoppable at times, and looked like, again, the alpha of this wide receiver room, who has Tyler Lockett, who has DK Metcalf. JSN looked like that dude, right? And you got to give him credit because he's not going against scrubs. You're going against Devon Witherspoon, who's still trying to prove himself. You're going against Tariq Woolen. And the thing to notice about this is Mike Macdonald is a defensive-minded head coach. He wants to make sure that his defense is set up to stop any team. And how what's a better situation than this offense that has 3 go-to wide receivers in DK, Tyler Lockett, and JSN? So I think this is not only, going to help the defense overall, but you look at the past, the history of Mike Macdonald and what he has done in Baltimore, leading back-to-back top 1 seasons in terms of defensive rating. I mean, Mike Macdonald's going to make sure that this defense is in the right spot to succeed. And even yesterday, or last practice, I should say, JSN made sure to, make it a focus that, hey, this defense, you guys ain't ready to go if I'm scoring 5 touchdowns in practice. Now, listen, I think they're only going to get better from here. Ryan Grubb is, definitely implementing a lot more, spread type of offense, getting the ball out to more people. And I think JSN's a guy that we can tell already is going to be a major benefactor of, that alone. So that was huge. Macdonald, after practice, was praising him, saying, hey, the potential this season is going to be insane. He might dominate, right? That's pretty much what he said, in, a press conference. And, listen, if you're catching 5 touchdowns in just one practice in team sessions, you know that you're a dog. And so far, that's what he's proven. Want to continue to see him, develop and build rapport with not only Geno Smith, but Sam Howell, and also, continue to learn this offense under Ryan Grubb. So I'm excited. I think there's going to be a lot more opportunities, a lot more, ability for him to go crazy. Now, before we jump even further into this video, do me a big favor, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, join the family. It's free, it doesn't cost anything, and we will be covering the Seahawks throughout the entirety of the offseason. You might be asking, what does that include? Well, the rest of OTAs, mandatory minicamp, training camp, preseason, regular season. We're going to be covering everything you need to know. So make sure you guys join the family. Again, doesn't cost anything. But with that being said, let's dive into a couple of other players who've actually looked pretty good so far for the Seattle Seahawks. One being Pharaoh Brown coming over from New England. He's a guy that has, continued to stand out when he played for New England. Just looked good almost every single week. Was probably their best receiver at times at the tight end position. And, coming over Seattle, they do like to run some 12 personnel at time last year, especially with Will Dissly and the guys that had behind Noah Fant. But now I think Pharaoh Brown gives them a new dynamic of a guy who can, stretch the field, line out wide in, 11 personnel, 10 personnel, if you want, that type of personnel. But also you can line him up in 12 personnel as well. I just think he adds a new dynamic and some versatility as a down the field stretch guy. And I do think that he will be someone who plays a decent amount of this season. So excited to see him and how he continues to develop. But another big time pickup, or maybe not a big time pickup, but a guy that they brought over from Washington that, had a really tough year and obviously was replaced in the draft by Jaden McDaniels. Sam Howell, right? Or Jaden Daniels. Watching too much basketball. But Jaden Daniels went over, replaced him. Sam Howell is a guy that they wanted to acquire as a backup quarterback. Obviously, having Drew Lock here wasn't able to really show too much. But Sam Howell is a guy who does have potential and flash potential throughout last season. He'd had some good games, then he'd go on a bad stretch of games, then he'd come back and have a good game, and then he'd have another bad stretch. So the potential is there, and I think that if he continues to work and continue to improve his game mentally, I think he's a guy that can learn behind Geno Smith as, just that mentor. He didn't really have that guy in Washington to sit back and just learn. So I do think Geno Smith is a guy that can help him grow maybe just a little bit if it's not too much, right? So want to continue to see Sam Howell grow. I think he's actually making some plays here. He's only 23 years old and a full season of experience under his belt last season. There's going to be some struggle, but there's also going to be some flashes, and I think that's exactly what he did. And as he continues to learn the offense here under Ryan Grubb, I think he's going to get more and more opportunities. We heard coming into the season that, listen, Geno is not going to be locked and loaded the starter, right? These guys have to compete. These guys have to work. These guys have to come out here and show us, the new coaching staff and Mike McDonald and Ryan Grubb, that they deserve to be the starter. I think they're giving each guy, their fair share of opportunity to come out here and compete every single day. And, so far, I think Geno Smith has done a really good job in terms of grabbing the quarterback position and running with it. But I think, Sam Howell is the guy that don't be worried if he has to, plug and play a game or two. He's got some potential. I like the flash, and I like the ability to improve going forward. I love the defense, man. I think, dude, Mike McDonald is going to have a great time with his defense. Not only do you have guys like Leonard Williams, Jerron Reed, Draymond Jones, and Boye Mafe with Uchenna Nwosu, right? But, the importance of getting to the quarterback, man. They have made sure that was a priority, not only with drafting a guy like Byron Murphy, but, even adding guys like a Tyrese Knight, right, who is more of an inside linebacker, but also at the same time has showed flashes of being able to get to the quarterback. John Radigan is breaking out a little bit as well this season. So, man, you got to love what you're seeing so far. The secondary looks absolutely nasty. Drafting two corners, Nehemiah Pritchard, DJ James from Auburn, who I thought were highly underrated coming out the draft before the season, the college season. These guys were projected to go in the second or third round. Auburn didn't have a great year, so they did struggle a little bit. But, man, if they had a little more pass rush like the Seattle Seahawks do, they could have been day two talents, right? So, and you also have, Michael Jackson and Tariq Woolen and Devon Witherspoon, Julian Love, Rayshawn Jenkins. So those guys aren't even going to be forced to play right away. But, man, I love the potential they bring as well. So I think this team has done a really good job this offseason. Want to see them continue to develop and get better as we break into mandatory minicamp in the week 3 of OTAs as well. So hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, join the family, and I'll see you guys in the next Seahawks update. Peace.